Right, I'm back with 5 more towns that contain Georgian building inspiration for you guys to feast your eyes on and get inspired to build. So last time we looked at some places in the West Country and the South of England, and today we're looking at places in the West Country and the South of England again because I'm like a broken record with my places. But anyway, there's some great stuff to see. So we're going to start off today with the town of Gloucester. We actually ended at Cheltenham last time, and this is all in the same region. So Gloucester is over here on almost the border with Wales, and again it features quite a lot of Georgian architecture. Let's go on into the 3D view of Google Maps and take a little gander around some of the key locations. Now this is a town as well that features a lot of Victorian architecture, mainly around the Gloucester docks. We will look at that in a later video, but if we come on now into the main high street, you can already see the abundance of these beautifully faced buildings that sit along on these old plots. So what happens in England is during the medieval period there was these people called the burghers who owned long plots along high streets. Over time these got refaced into these beautiful Georgian houses. So let's zoom on in here and see this one in particular. Now up here we have quite a sort of untelling building, but the front is beautiful. Then you go on up and you just see these nice plain windows, and you can already start seeing how you would go about recreating those in Minecraft. And just look at this place. Now it doesn't always have to be painted buildings, you can always have, like this one is here, half painted. Then we've got a nice coins down the side there with the red brick in the middle, or you can even go for something as plain as this. That's what's really nice about Georgian architecture, it's very forgiving as long as you match the sort of main things, which are big narrow windows, lots of them, lots of faces. That's not really any good. Oh look, a Tudor building down here. Okay, so this is Gloucester. Gloucester is again a great place to have a look for any inspiration. As you can see over here, we have another Georgian townhouse and some people. This is a bit more of an early Georgian house, as it still features one of these on top of the pediments. The pediments are probably better used in the Reconstruction times, which is about 1650 onwards to about early 1700. But what's quite nice is how small the bricks are in here, which is a good telling point of a building as being old or not. One last building to have a quick look at, which is just over here, if we can look around the back. So in Georgian times, the backs of buildings usually featured the stable blocks. Now I can't get all the way down here, but what you can see on my left hand side is an old coach house. So what would happen is people would come down here, guests visiting the house would come down here, and their horse and carriage would be taken off of them, put into that little room there, and the drivers of that would stay up above in the little loft. As you can see, it's a very nice large house here in what is the cathedral sort of grounds, so that would have been how they looked after the horses, and this gave way to modern day garages, as you can see behind it. So ladies and gentlemen, that is Gloucester. It's time for us to move on to another Georgian town. So my next town on the list is Royal Leamington Spa. Now this is actually slightly northeast of Gloucester, so we're finally moving out the south of England. Although for me, the south is here. Everything else up there is north, so I guess most people will actually say the north is above Manchester, but you guys comment below on what that is. Anyway, the Royal Leamington Spa is, as its name states, a royal spa town. Now during the Georgian period, during the spa period, this town grew up again because of its access to nice rich water. So what's going on here is a tale of two cities. You have the river Lim that comes through the centre here. Everything below it is a bit more Victorian. Don't hold me on that, there are still examples of Georgian buildings around, but the majority of these buildings along this side of the river are later Victorian or maybe early Edwardian stuff. But what's quite nice is across the river into the main town itself, we have these beautiful buildings along here. So the characteristic again of Georgian sort of architecture are these public gardens in the front, and we've got this row of shops along here which has a really nice public garden in front. There's even a nice statue in front of this one. So if you're looking for ways to break up those plain fronts, this is perfect. Just put something in front like a garden, and maybe even paint the bottoms of the shops so you look a little bit different. So moving on up the high street a bit, we come to some more examples of Georgian architecture here. We have a really nice crescent. Now Lansdowne crescents is really common, and I believe there was a Marquess of Lansdowne who sold off a lot of land in London, who became one of the first people to build proper nice big townhouses. and the story goes that it's all named after him. Please Google that, because that is a memory I had that I thought may have been a dream. But anyway, we're moving on round to Lansdowne Circus. This is a really interesting setup. So a lot of circuses usually are just main townhouses in circles. This is a bit more of semi-detached buildings, villas set around a teardrops shaped crescent. And I've got to say, this is one of the most inspiring places I've ever seen. I really want to build it one day, but it seems to be quite hard. Angles in Minecraft, as we know, aren't the easiest things to do. But if you take a look down here, you can see on Google Maps the entirety of the buildings and the houses at the back. This one even has an old coach house. That looks like a modern garage. Just don't. Okay guys, it's time to move on to another town, and this time we're going even further south. So we're leaving the north for now and heading all the way down to one of the southernmost tips of the country, the town of Weymouth. Now Weymouth is known for its naval sort of career. It's not really used that much as a navy base anymore, although it's still quite a nice place to come down and use the beach. During the Victorian times, the town built up a lot into what it is today, as it was a seaside resort. But before that, it was a Georgian market town and a Georgian harbour town. So we are down here on the main river into the town. As you can see, it's got a really cool looking marina inside the town itself. Great bit of inspiration there. I used a lot of this place as inspiration for my town of Woolhampton. If we come on down here to Custom House Quay, you'll see the abundance of Georgian architecture in the form of the George Inn here. That may be early Victorian, let's leave that where it is, but there is definitely a Georgian building right here. This is the Custom House, and the characteristics of this one are two large bow windows above what would be bays, but these bow windows like to float like this, and then even like a little box window at the top there, which could be a Georgian equivalent of an oriel window. What's quite cool is the way a lot of these warehouses have been built, with the faces flat against the road and the buildings themselves built at an angle. So you can do that in Minecraft as well if you wish, although usually the whole building at an angle looks better. Moving along the quayside here, you can see the more abundance of Georgian bay windows and bow windows going up in these townhouses here. If we look behind me, we'll see more of these lovely colourful buildings, which is again a characteristic of the time. So if you want to make your seaside look nice, paint them interesting colours. We have all the terracottas in the game to use, so you might as well use them. Coming over this way a bit further, we got some more inspiration, a bit more Victorian stuff going on here. We will come back here in a future video and showcase some of that. There is one building I wish to show you still, and that is over here. Now I believe it was the Guild Hall, and it's a really nice, lovely building made in a classical style with a nice big pediment and portico at the front there, along with this building here to my left, which is St Mary's Church, built in a bit more of a Palladian style than most. Oh, just look at that. Screams Georgian to me. It should be screaming Georgian to you as well. So that is Weymouth, guys. We've got another place to go look at now. We have two more towns to look at, and they are both in the southwest. So let's go see them. So Devon has quite large towns. They're quite old, always been used by the Navy. One I'm focusing on right now is the town of Exeter. Now Exeter is again a Roman city built up over the last couple of thousand years into the town it is today. I should be saying city because it definitely is a city. There's a lot of Victorian architecture here along with Georgian stuff. Now the Georgian stuff is mainly focused around this section of town where it says Exeter, near St Thomas Station across the other side of the River Exe. Now I found all of this while doing some inspiration digging for my town of Woolhampton, and this building right here was the inspiration for the CDP headquarters in Woolhampton. If you haven't seen that video, check out the little card up in the front there. What's quite cool about it is how plain and boring it looks, but the history about it is really interesting, as it features blocked up windows like this, meaning the window tax was enacted here, and this person went, well, I can't afford this window, so I'm going to block it up. And that's pretty much what happened with the window tax across the whole country. Now this is a really nice part of the area. As you can see, more window tax victims along here as well. What is quite nice is this building I always spy up here when I was looking at that one doing some building, with the way that the front door is at this level, so you can see it above the hedge, but when you come out and see it here, you can see there's a whole like basement below it. Now what's quite nice about this building, and it may be an early Victorian, although I think it's just early 19th century, is it's not plastered. This is actually the colour that most Georgian buildings were for about 100 years before they started painting them white. So they were actually a grey, between grey sandstone and other little sort of colours in between that. They were sandy colours. They weren't colours that we see them today as being white or, you know, these sort of colours. So take that in note when you sort of go, can I build a Georgian house out of stone? Yes, you can. I have done it before, and it does look pretty exquisite. So we head on down this road a bit further. We come to some more Georgian townhouses down again a Lansdowne place, and I did mention this name pops up a lot. And you can see here we have some more townhouses that are in their original ashlar colour, which is this lovely cut stone. Do you know what? I really like it just because of how different it is to what we see today with all of the painted faces. There's one more place in Exeter I wish to show you, and that is back over where we started this mission along the quayside here. This is the Colton Crescent, and it's really nice as a good example of some early Victorian townhouses. Now I say that because of the way that the brickwork's done on it. These are Regency motifs, but I believe this may be early Victorian, and the crossover is just through the fact that I think it looks a bit different to more Georgian buildings. The windows are slightly different, although I am probably completely wrong on that. What this does feature though are these really nice little end houses. You've got the little doorway down there, and then we come around the corner here as well. We've got the same this side with this lovely bay window on here, which does make me think it's definitely Regency. So I'm putting this building in the region of 1830. Not that I'm really not into dating buildings like that. So guys, that is Exeter. There is a great abundance of Georgian architecture here and Victorian, so we will come back here in later videos. Right, on to the final town of this video. So we have the city of Plymouth now to go see. As with Exeter, it's an old town, mainly based around the naval base here in Devonport. Plymouth is an interesting one as it got really destroyed in the war, just because of how it was used by the Navy. So a lot of the Georgian architecture has been lost, but there is still key signs about the place as what you can see. So if we head on down here towards the west of the town, we have a place called Royal William Yard. Now this was built in the Georgian period around about 1800, and it is one of the finest examples of naval architecture in the country built in that time. Now it's a royal victualling yard which was used to restock the Royal Navy before they went out on missions. I will be building this one day in one of my cities, as I just love the architecture about it. When I used to live in Plymouth, I would walk along here and always gaze over at this building. So sticking on the theme of large Georgian municipal buildings, we have over on the hill up here, looking over what used to be a river and a lake, the Royal Hospital, or the Royal Navy Hospital. Now this again is some really nice Georgian architecture. We have this square for where the officers used to live, and these are some nice Georgian townhouses there. There's two gate lodges down here as well, which would let people in and out. Then you've got a fine example of a Georgian military hospital, and it's what you sort of expect when you see quadrangles at like universities now, in America at least, because I think around about that time things were being built up in that classical style as well. So moving away from that, we have some more buildings just left over from the Georgian period that weren't bombed out in the war, and that is around Wyndham Square here. These are really interesting ones as they don't really follow some pattern. It's quite eclectic with these ones, although I do like the central building with the pediment above, and it's the same over here. Now you saw me getting excited in Exeter when we had the original stone colour, and we've got more here as well, because that's just really nice, really nice. So there's one last place I want to show you in Plymouth, and that is if we head on over this way past the village of Stoke, we come to a really nice collection of townhouses. We come to a really nice collection of villas overlooking a park. So these here are built during the Regency period for captains of ships to live in. I've done some research on these because again I used to see them all the time, and they're just really sweet, really cute little houses that I think would look great in your game somewhere as even like a starter home. I think I will be building some of these eventually when I get around to building Plymouth. Now what you can see peeking out at the top over here is St Michael's House, This again is actually in the original colour scheme it was when it was built. What is missing though is the the terrace of houses that used to sit along here, which is a shame. I believe they got bombed in the war. But this house is beautiful. It has a huge bow window around the front here. If we come around the back, it's got a really nice basement open area at the back there for the servants to use and get into the bottom there. But what's really cool about this, because I love my outbuildings, it has the original garage, I believe, coach house at the back here. You can see it's been built out of like really rough stone and lined with bricks. So there we go guys, that is 5 more towns that contain Georgian architecturally inspirational buildings. I hope you've enjoyed this series so far. Please let me know in the comments below on what you would like me to see to do more on it, and other towns that you may feel feature some buildings, because I'm always open to suggestions. As you can see, I've been mainly showing stuff in the south of England now for the past 2 episodes. So anyway guys, thank you all for watching. Remember, get inspired, get building, and I'll see you next time.